Superior Court is now open and back in session. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, please be seated. Thank you. We can bring the jury in. Okay, would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Detective Clark, I want to bring you back. We were looking at, I believe, I'm going to go back to SMS and iMessages. File 2, office dates 131. If you take a look behind you, sir.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk, Madam Interpreter.
No.
The defendant cannot hear you.
Sir, if you could take a look at the screen behind you. I'm going to draw your attention again, just to clarify, lines 7, 8, and 9. And in the middle column, as you said, there's the word red underneath each of them. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is this a actual extraction directly from the Cellbrite tool that you utilize when you examine the phone?
This is a PDF report from that extraction.
So you didn't enter the word red there, did you?
That's correct, I did not.
Okay, that came out of the Cellbrite extraction that report that you created.
Yes.
Okay, and when it indicates red, I believe you testified that you thought that meant opened and viewed. Why did you say that?
So the way the red receipt works, a message will be delivered to the device. And if a user clicks on that message, which enables it to be viewed, it will generate a red receipt once it's clicked on and has opened.
So the red receipt that is at line 7, 8, and 9 would indicate, for instance, just to clarify it, line 7, red would mean no phone, text me, was clicked on and opened and viewed, but you can't say if somebody actually stood there and read the words.
Correct.
Okay, is that why you use the terminology open and viewed?
Correct.
Okay, but Celebrate uses the term read.
Yes, because it's technically called a red receipt.
Okay, thank you. Now, I just want to go back to the video file that you created showing these messages. Now, sir, is this actually out of a Cellbrite computer screen?
Well, I'm going to object to the vagueness of it. There's obviously, when you say there's stuff that's added, so I ask that there be some clarification.
Well, the objection, as the court understands it, is confusing. You can rephrase the question, Attorney Manning.
Absolutely. Actually, Detective Clark, can you just go up to the screen for me, please? Where did you get this image?
So the image, this entire image was from a Celebrite physical analyzer report. This one is actually a UFED reader report.
Did you create or alter the image in any way?
I did not alter the original image. The parts I did add through the video editing software were these boxes that say timestamp and equals device time message was received, as well as the red box with red and device time message was opened, as well as this red box outlining the instant messages, and then these two arrows.
Now, the content of this upper right box here, did you put the red box around it?
Yes, I did.
And you put the red arrow here and the black arrow here?
Yes, that's correct.
And what does the black arrow signify?
The black arrow signifies the timestamp that the device, of the device time that the message was received.
So for instance, this indicates 5/24/2019 at 7:18 in a black arrow? And-
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
And then the red arrow, 5/24/2019 at 13:33, what does that indicate?
That is the device time of the red receipt, as we discussed.
But the content, the time and date, as well as the red receipt, that all came off of the PDF extraction we just looked at, is that correct?
That PDF actually came from this, yes.
Okay, thank you. You can have a seat, sir, I'm just gonna play it through. I'm gonna stop it there, sir, at 45 seconds. Did you write this page that's depicted on the screen?
Yes, I did.
Now, those were with respect to SMS and iMessages, sir. Did you also create a report with, that encapsulates the WhatsApp messages and third-party messages in association with the SMS and iMessages?
Yes, I did.
I'm gonna open what's been marked as file 4 and 5. And open file marked redacted WhatsApp messages. If you can, sir, just, I'm gonna ask you again if you can please take a stand next to the screen.
Sure.
And explain what we're looking at here at line 1.
So line 1 is the type of message that was sent. As we'd seen before, it basically breaks it down into instant and SMS messages. Instant messages generally indicate an application or an iMessage. Do you want me to continue on there?
If you can, but one question. This is also between the time period of 5:35 a.m. and 12:22 p.m., is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so just to clarify in the timestamp day, what is this first message from?
That first message, the timestamp for it was an incoming message on 5/24/2019 at 5:57:31 seconds a.m.
And the next column, please.
The next column, as we'd seen in the other slides, is the parties that were involved in the chat, so who was having that message.
Okay, and the description, is this in another language, sir?
Yes, it appears to be.
Okay, and there's a line here that says source. What does that read?
The source for this particular message was WhatsApp.
Now, does this PDF report also include the instant messages and SMS messages that we saw in the previous PDF?
Yes, I believe it does.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go draw your attention down to line 5. And over here on the description column, we have attachment and empty file, source Facebook Messenger. Can you just explain what that means?
Yes, so based on this was a message through Facebook Messenger. It appears as though there was an attachment associated with this message. However, that attachment was no longer on the device for whatever reason, whether it was deleted by the user or the system purged it. So it's just showing us that there was a message sent, an incoming message to this device. However, that file is no longer accessible for us to view on the device.
And what time was that message sent?
That message was sent on 5/24/2019 at 7:52 and 15 seconds a.m.
Looking at this PDF report, is there any way to determine when the WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger messages were open and viewed or read, if you will?
No, there are no read receipts on this particular PDF for those.
And I'm just going to go down. We have some more from Facebook Messenger and text messages. Line 13. If you can, sir, over in this description box, I guess, it says missed voice call. How does that come in through text messages and instant messages?
So in this instance, it was using, again, that source profile is WhatsApp, which is a messaging service application. And you can generate video and voice calls within the WhatsApp program. So this was showing us that it went through as a message because it recognized this as a messaging service. However, it was a voice call created within this third-party application.
And is there a way to determine whether or not that was read or open and viewed?
No, there's not.
Okay. Going here to line 16, sir. If you can just read what time and date did that message come in?
This message was sent to the device on 5/24/2019 at 10:23 and 42 seconds a.m.
And where was it from?
This was a WhatsApp message.
And the individual phone number or address that it came from, which would be this column here.
Yes.
What does that say?
So the originating sender, the number 306-932-286545, and then it has the at s.whatsapp.net and a name, Andreas Tutsiazardis. And then the other participant, it has that listed again as the participant, as well as 1-860-478-8625 at s.whatsapp.net, labeled Michelle Dulos.
Is there any way to determine, looking at the Cellbrite PDF report, whether or not that message was open and viewed?
No.
But what about this area? I mean, we've seen the empty file attachment. What does this mean?
Well, so this file actually was sent with an attachment. So if the attachments were available on these empty files, it would look something similar to this, where you have the attachment itself and we're able to view what it was.
Are you able to determine if that was open and viewed and when that was?
Not based on this report, no.
Okay. And going down to line 17, just taking a look, there's this red yes over here. What does that mean?
So if you were to go all the way back to the top again, you can actually see that there is a header for it, and it's marked as that the item was deleted. So Cellbrite will tell you if it determines that an item has been deleted from the device, and that indicator is simply showing us that it was.
Does it give you any information about how that was deleted, whether it was, well, I'll stop there.
No, it could have been either through manual deletion, through user interaction, or it could have been a system process. I'm unable to tell based on that.
And by system processing, what do you mean?
So there are certain settings that can be created by the user, or certain settings that are created by the manufacturer that cause data to be deleted from the device after a certain period of time, or a certain period of data retention is reached. So the device will actually go in and start to remove that data itself without the user having to delete it.
Could you tell either way in this case?
In this case, no.
And just going through, sir, we get to this long one. And again, this is between 5:35 and 12:22. What time was this message sent?
This message was sent on 5/24/2019 at 12:14 and 33 seconds p.m. in the afternoon.
And I just want to draw your attention, this long, participants. What does this tell you?
So this just shows that This is, again, a WhatsApp chat, and this shows us that this was a large group chat. So there were multiple participants involved in this conversation chain.
And the content or description, does it give you any information?
It does. It shows us that what the source is, that the source was WhatsApp.
Now, we talked about iMessages, SMS messages, and then third-party messages. What about call logs? Does Cellbrite report give you a description or the data points for how many calls were taken that time?
Yes, it does.
Particularly between 5:35 in the morning and 12:22 in the afternoon on 5/24, were there calls made to Fotis Dulos?
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention to file 6 and now, well, first of all, sir, if you can just explain what we're looking at on the screen.
So this is, again, another view of that Cellbrite reader program that I had mentioned. You can actually see the name of it right up here. And this is a call log from that Cellbrite reader program, as highlighted over here. So when I talked about how things get categorized, these are all the calls from the device categorized in the call log, enabling us to then view it. And then this area over here would show the numbers of the numeric sequence, and then there's some other indicators as well as the party involved, the timestamp, and the duration of the call, whether it was outgoing, incoming, or missed, and then the country code if it's able to determine that.
Now, the red box around that, did you put that in there?
Yes, I did.
With respect to any of the other content displayed on that screen, did you change any of it or alter it in any way?
The only other user-generated piece from this phone was this red dot, which was a manual tag that I had created.
Why did you create that red dot?
That was because it was the first outgoing call that I had observed within the time frame I was looking at.
Okay. All right. Sir, does this start earliest time at the bottom or at the top?
Earliest time is at the bottom.
So what is the first call that came in to Fotis Dulos' device on 5/24/2019 between 5:35 and 12:22?
The first call was at 7:16 a.m.
And where does it show that?
That's indicated right here.
And the column next to it reads all zeros. What does that mean?
That is the, again, there is a header for it, but I won't make you zoom back out. That is the duration of the call. So if the call were answered, it would have a duration, but if it's a missed call and it was not answered, there will be no duration listed under that category. It'll be all zeros.
And then the word missed, that means it's a missed call?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, the one right above it, that 306-9322-86545 number. If you could read that, please.
Yes, so it's from +sign 306-932-286-545, and again, that name, Andreas Tuchiazardis.
What time did that call come in, sir?
That call came in on 5/24/2019 at 8:26 a.m.
Was that answered?
That appears to have been answered, yes. It has a 17-second duration, and as opposed to these missed calls, it actually is called an incoming call because the device recognizes it as answered.
Now, the 17 seconds, what time does it start counting?
The 17-second will generally start at the time that the call is answered.
So does that mean it was a 17-second phone call?
Yes.
Now, the one right above it, if you can, was that answered?
No, that is registered as a missed call with 0-second duration.
And what time did that call come in?
That call came in at 9:02 a.m. on 5/24/2019.
From who?
That is from Hutch Haynes.
And the one right above it?
The one above that is from Renee Menudis. That came in on 5/24/2019 at 9:28 a.m. Has a 0-second duration and is also registered as a missed call.
And we saw that name and number in the text messages as well, is that correct?
I recall that, yes.
And as you go up, I'm not going to have you read every one, but you have this one from Mark Masiello. And what time did that one call come in?
That came in on 5/24/2019 at 9:44 a.m.
Was that answered?
No,
Now, this one doesn't have a name next to it, the one right above it. What does that mean?
that means that the phone number wasn't saved as a contact in the device, and the device wasn't able to associate that number with any person.
Was that answered?
No,
And the two above it, Giannis, I'm guessing that's Tuchiardis on both of those, even though it's cut off. Were those calls answered?
no, they were not.
Now, the one above it doesn't have a name in that column. Why is that?
Same concept as before. The name is not, the number is not associated with a name on the device. It wasn't saved, nor is the device able to recognize it as being associated with a name.
And Rania Menudis called again at 12:07, is that correct?
Yes, at 12:07 p.m., so in the afternoon.
And was that answered?
No, it's not.
Now, eventually, Ms. Menudis' phone call was returned. At what time?
It appears as though that phone call was returned based on this at 1:19 p.m. on 5/24/2019.
And just one last thing that's different is that down here at this line, if you could see the cursor, we have a WhatsApp. I guess, is that a phone call?
Yes, it appears to be an incoming phone call message from WhatsApp. The names are cut off, so I'm not able to see the participants, though I do recognize the bottom phone number as being Fotis Dulos' phone number, so he would have been the recipient of that incoming phone call.
And was that answered as well?
No, that was a missed call.
Okay. So between this 7:16 phone call and the 1:19 phone call that was returned to Ms. Menudis, there was only one phone call that was answered. And at what time was that again?
That was the phone call at 8:26 a.m. From this 306 number from Andreas.
Now, did you look to see if there were any other communication with Andreas prior to this phone call?
I do recall seeing message communication between the two.
I'm gonna attention to file 7 and 8. Okay, what are we looking at here, sir?
So this is a different view of a Celebrate conversation. So the view that you guys had seen before was broken down by table. It's also capable of generating it in a format that makes it a little more familiar to us as we're used to viewing them. So we can see messages as more of a cohesive whole. And that's what this is. This is a view of a message string from WhatsApp in its entirety.
And who is it from?
This was from that number 306-932-286-545, which belonged to Andreas Tuchiardis.
By the way, is this in English?
It does not appear to be, no.
Okay. If you go up here, it says from and to. So who is actually sending this text message or WhatsApp message?
So this particular message was sent from the device owner, from the device itself, from Fotis Dulos' device to the person labeled as Andreas Tuchiardis.
Okay. And what time was this message sent?
This message appears to have been sent on 5/23/2019 at 5:53 and 21 seconds.
Does it also indicate when it was read?
This particular one does, so it appears as though this message was delivered to its recipient, which would have been Andreas, on 5/24/2019 at 2:46 and 3 seconds Eastern Standard Time. or Eastern Daylight Time, and that it was read on 5/24/2019 at 2:46 a.m. and 20 seconds, again converted to Eastern Daylight Time.
And just going down, just if the times, sorry, what time was this one sent?
That message was sent on 5/23/2019 at 10:25 and 14 seconds p.m.
And what time was it delivered and read?
It was delivered on 5/24/2019 at 2:46 and 3 seconds a.m. and it was read on 5/24/2019 at 2:46 and 20 seconds a.m.
And this one, if you can, the date and time?
So this was sent on 5/23/2019 at 10:25 and 20 seconds p.m. Delivered on 5/24/2019 at 2:46 and 3 seconds a.m., again Eastern Standard Time, and read 5/24/2019 at 2:46 and 20 seconds a.m.
And the response, sir, is what we saw on the other PDF, is that correct?
Yes, we did view this on the other PDF.
And when was this sent?
This was sent to the device on 5/24/2019 at 10:23 and 42 seconds a.m.
I'm going to show you what's called on that file Greek to English translation. If you can, sir, if you could just read what's on the screen, as long as the time as well.
I'm sorry, you wanted the time as well?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is a message, a sent message from Michelle Dulos that says, "Call me tomorrow morning at mine and we'll talk." And that was sent at 5/23/2019 at 5:53 and 21 seconds.
And the next one?
Again, sent from the device owned by Michelle Dulos. It says 3:30 yours. That was sent on 5/23/2019 at 10:25 and 14 seconds p.m. And the final was sent again by Michelle Dulos. It says at the normal, sent on 5/23/2019, 10:25 and 26 seconds p.m.
And again, we have that same, I guess, is this a meme? Would we call it a meme or a video? And what time?
Both are accurate. That's on 5/24/2019 at 10:23 and 42 seconds a.m.
Now, I just want to ask you, going back to the redacted chats, the phone number here, starting with 30, do you know what country code that is?
Yes, I do. It's Greece.
And we talked about UTC time, and you indicated the times at the bottom, going back to the Greek to English translation, where it says, for instance, here at 3:30 yours, 5/23/2019, 10:25, 14 p.m., UTC -4. What does the 10:25, 14 p.m. UTC -4 mean?
That means that, so the device inherently stores all of the date and time in UTC, and then based on where the device detects it is, or based on user interaction, it converts it to the time zone, a certain time zone. So this is the device being converted into Eastern Daylight Time, which is -4 from UTC.
So 3:30 yours, what time would it be in Greece if it was 3:30?
So if it's 3:30 in Greece, it would be 10:30 here. It's about a 7-hour difference.
Okay, what would it be, with respect to this phone number, if I can, I'm gonna actually draw your attention back to file, if I can. 6 missed calls. We have that same number, sir, here. And the phone call came at
My conversion was incorrect, yeah, it would have been closer to 8:30.
I can't hear. Could the witness please repeat his last name?
My conversion on the time was incorrect. The call came in at 8:26.
So if it's 8:26 in Eastern Standard Time, that would be what, 3:30 in Greece?
That's correct.
So I'm gonna go back to, actually, 4 and 5, please. Do you remember that video or meme that we played that was sent to Photos Dulos' device? Do you recall what time that was sent?
It's approximately 10 a.m.
Okay. Is this were you able to get the video down from the extraction?
Yes, this was the video that was in that attachment.
Can it play?
All right, you have two choices. A, you can spend the rest of your life with your wife, or B.
Was that the message that was sent to Photos Dulos' device at around 10:20 on May 24th, 2019?
Yes, that's correct.
After the text message or WhatsApp message the night before indicating to make that phone call at 8:30 in the morning?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, are there, you can have a seat, sir. Thank you. I want to ask you some questions about user interaction with the device, with the cell phone itself. I think you testified before lunch that the Cellbrite report can document certain activities that occur on the cell phone. Could you please explain a little bit more what you mean? What are some things that we can learn from a Cellbrite report, or what is recorded on a Cellbrite report for user interaction?
So, are you asking about user interaction, like things that the user is creating intentionally, or things that the device is?
Well, I'll be more specific. Can you tell when the phone is turned on?
Yes, there is a database that has powering events.
And what about when you turn your phone from, I guess, portrait side to landscape? Does the phone record that?
Yes, there is a database that records that.
And are you able to parse that out through the Cellbrite report?
Yes, so what you're referring to are called device events, and those events are something that Cellbrite is able to parse and make viewable to the examiner.
Let me draw your attention to file 9. Did you create a report for the device events of Photos Dulos' device between 5:25 or 5:35 in the morning to 12:22 in the morning on 5/24?
Yes.
Open file 9. And what are we looking at here?
Do you want me
If you can.
to- Yes, of course. So this is a device events report. Again, it's in table view, and it's just showing us that, again, numeric sequence of the time that the event happened, the event type. So we can see there are different event types in here: display, device lock status, Wi-Fi state. The value is what was happening to that event type at that time, and then we have our source information.
What time was the first event or user interaction on Photos Dulos' device on May 24th, between that time frame?
The first device event I was able to see was at 6:44 and 12 seconds a.m.
What happened?
This was a display event, and it appears as though the display turned on.
What does that mean, the display turned on?
It could mean a variety of things. It could mean someone clicked on the device and actually turned it on. It could have received a notification and the device turned on, but it means that the display on the device actually activated and lit up.
And line 2, sir, indicates the start time of that event. What time was the start time?
For line 2,
Yes, please.
the start time for line 2 was 6:44 and 20 seconds a.m.
And the end time,
Was 6:47 a.m.
what does that mean?
So what it registers is how long the event type occurred for. So it appears on this that the display for the screen was on for approximately 2 minutes and 40 seconds.
And line 3, please, if you could explain what that reads.
Line 3 is our device lock status. So this is showing you that the event type was a device lock event and that the event was that the device was unlocked.
And by unlocked, do you mean somebody entered a password?
For the iPhone Model XS, it would have been a password or a face recognition if the screen had a lock screen and password on it.
Do you know if this phone had a facial recognition or a lock screen?
I do know that the phone had a lock screen, as I observed that it had a lock screen.
Okay. And you actually entered the password on that phone as well when you did the extraction, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so when you entered the passcode that day to do the extraction, did that create a device event?
It would have, yes.
Okay, and it would have read similar to this, that line 3?
That's correct.
Now, line 4, what does that mean, sir?
So again, our event is the Wi-Fi state, and it's showing that this device connected to Wi-Fi.
Now, line 5 and 6 read orientation change. Could you just explain, first of all, the time and what that means?
Yes, so our start time is 6:45 and 8 seconds a.m. With an end time of 6:45 and 12 seconds a.m. And the orientation change would be taking the device either vertically or horizontally and then moving it in the other direction. So if your phone is vertically and you turn it horizontally, the database will register that there was an orientation change and that it went to a landscape.
And that was between 6:46 and 36 and 6:46:48 for line 6?
For line 6, yes, same thing.
And line 5 was 6:45:08 and 6:45:12. Those are separate events, is that right?
These two are separate events, that's correct.
So somebody would have to be manipulating the phone for that to happen, is that correct?
The device would have to be moved in order for that to happen.
Now, the next time, line 7, it has start time 7:01 and end time 7:03:16. What does display on off and display on mean?
So this is that display on the device turning on.
And that is 12 minutes after the phone was physically moved up and down? Or orientation changed, I should say.
That appears to have happened about 15 minutes afterwards.
15 minutes? Okay. Now, I'm going to draw your attention down to 9, line 9. Was the device unlocked again?
Yes, it was.
At what time?
The device was unlocked again at 7:01 and 24 seconds a.m.
And the end time for that event?
The end time for the unlocked state was 7:03 and 16 seconds a.m.
Was the phone manipulated another time?
I see on line 6 would be another, or I'm sorry, line 12 would be another user manipulation of the device.
And what time was line 12?
Line 12 was at 8:07 and 16 seconds a.m.
Okay. And by manipulation event, what do you mean? What happened?
So that's a device unlock. As I mentioned, the display is something that could happen without interaction, but a device unlock requires user interaction to occur.
And I'm going to draw your attention down to this 8:26, line 13. Now, we saw that 8:26 time frame before. Do you recall where?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'm actually going to minimize this and draw your attention back to file 6. What time was that answered call, sir?
So this is the phone call from Andreas, and it was at 8:26.
Thank you. Now, back to file 9. And we're at line 14, please. Sir, what happened at line 14? If you could read that.
So line 14 is at 8:26 and 56 seconds AM, and it is an audio output indicating that some sort of audio was output from the device's speaker.
So does that mean the call was answered on a speaker?
Based on the time, it appears that way, but some audio came out of the speaker at 8:26.
Now, this also indicates an end time. What does that mean?
That appears to be the time that the audio output for the speaker ended.
That doesn't mean that the call ended, or does it?
No.
Okay. And this is under the events category?
Yes.
So it would just be virtue of the phone, correct? Did the phone get manipulated again, another time?
Yes, there's another orientation change at 8:31 and 20 seconds AM.
Actually, I'm gonna draw your attention to the one, line 16, right before that. What does that mean?
There was a one before that. It's a device unlock status at 8:31 and 8 seconds AM. And again, the device was unlocked.
And you indicated the orientation change.
Yes,
Again, that would have to be a manipulation event.
yes,
But the display on and off we see here at line 18 and 19, you can't say that that was a manipulation event.
that's correct.
903, sir, what happened at line 20 at 903?
So at 9:03 AM, there is another unlock of the device.
And that would be require manipulation?
Yes, that's correct.
What time did that end?
That device event ended at 9:04 and 40 seconds.
And line 21, sir, is that a manipulation event?
It is at 9:03 and 4 seconds AM. There's an orientation change to landscape.
Okay. And what time did that end?
That ended at 9:03 and 8 seconds.
Okay. Now, going through the rest of the time period, we have the display events, but what's line 27?
So at 9:20, line 27 at 10:34 and 4 seconds AM, it shows that there was a camera state activity and that the camera state powered on. So something in the device called for the camera to activate. It will tell you that what caused that actually was a FaceTime, and that the camera that turned on was the front camera. Devices often have a front and rear camera. In this instance, the front camera is what turned on.
Was that in connection with a phone call, or can you tell?
I would say it's in connection with a FaceTime event.
And again, 28, is that the Wi-Fi connection?
Yes,
That would not be a manipulation event, or would it?
I would say no. If that device had been paired to that Wi-Fi, it could drop and reconnect on its own.
Now, going through the rest of the events until that, this actually goes till 1 o'clock. Are there any other manipulation or user interaction with the device until 12:58:44, the last one on this?
No.
Okay. Sir, is there a way to determine on the phone if the phone was moved during that 5:35 to 12:22 timeframe?
There are metrics that determine that, yes.
I'm going to draw your attention to file 10, file labeled activity sensor data. Okay, what are we looking at here?
So this is activity sensor data. It's often related to Apple's health application, and it's giving you the time frame. It breaks it down into hour increments. So it's saying from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. that there were aggregated measurements. It counted 2 samples as the device traveling 44.4, and that is in meters.
That is in meters?
Yes.
Okay. And it says over here, distance traveled steps. What does that mean?
So it'll also count your steps, similar to a pedometer or foot measurement device or walking measurement device. And that is actually listed down here at the bottom where it says steps. It registered 63 steps.
Does it give you the time where and when exactly these steps were taken?
It does not, just that that event was recorded by the device between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 a.m., not a specific time.
And, well, I'll withdraw that. Thank you, sir. You can have a seat. So that was the activity between 5:35 and 12:22. Were you also asked to examine the phone for activity between 12:22 and 7:10 on 5/24/2019?
Yes, I was.
Particularly with respect to location data. Did you determine that there were any data or GPS locations for the device during that time period?
Yes, I did.
And does that have to do with cell tower data or GPS data off the phone?
The data that I analyzed was specifically GPS fixed data.
Now, I'm going to draw your attention, but I'm not asking you to get up, but if you can just take a look at the screen behind you, this would be file 11, redacted photos locations file. Oh, and is this similar to what we saw before the lunch break, the PDF dictating the location data?
Yes.
And how many location data points were found between 12:22 and 7:10?
On this report, there are 138.
And what is the, well, what time does line 1 start at?
Line 1 starts on 5/24/2019 at 7:06 and 46 seconds p.m.
Safe to say it goes from 7:10 to 12:22? What's line 138?
Line 138 would be the earliest time in this report, and that is 12:23 and 50 seconds in the afternoon p.m.
Did you create a video that mapped out each of those location points?
Yes, I did.
Can you just explain to the jury how you created that?
Yes, so what I'm able to do within Celebrite is export the longitude, latitude, and date and time into a file format called the KML or KMZ format, and that is able to be ingested into a mapping program. I was trained by the FBI to use Google Earth Pro, and that's what I used. So I'm able to take those location data points, ingest them into the mapping program, and then use a video editing software to screen record the locations in what's known as a time lapse. So I used a program called Camtasia, which again I was trained by the FBI to use, and created the time lapse, which starts to move a time bar over time, and you'll be able to see the data points start to move in a direction or location as time moves on.
Did you utilize this document to create that report?
This document was created from the same data set that was used to create that report.
I'm going to play the video. Detective Clark, was that the video that you created utilizing those points?
Yes.
Actually, just gonna ask you a couple questions on it. If I can. So the first pin is up here. What time does that first pin say?
That first pin shows 12:23 p.m., so 12:23 in the afternoon.
And what area is this?
That's the area for Jefferson Crossing.
Now, as you go through, I pause it at 12 seconds, these pins appear. Are they all appearing at the exact same time?
Some of them are, so as a device, if it is moving, you may see within a period of time, a period of a minute, which does not record seconds on here, that the device may record multiple points in multiple locations. But then you also see that there is a time change as they move down towards the lower end of the Mountain Spring Road area on the map. And we're seeing 12:34, 1:34, 1:35, and 1:37 p.m.
And by Mountain Spring Road, is that what area we're looking at right now at 20 seconds?
That's
into
correct.
the video? And what is the time that is displayed at this point?
Currently, it's 14:26, which is 2:26 p.m.
And just to be clear, this is the device. You can't say who's holding it or moving it or anything during this time period.
That's correct.
It's just, okay. And are you zooming in at this point?
Yes.
Now, some of these timeframes are the same. We have 14:25 here, 14:26, 14:25 up here. Is that similar to what you were talking about as the phone was moving, the data points?
Yes, it's within that 1 minute time span between 14:25 and 14:26. There were multiple recordings of GPS location data.
Now, I have one question, sir. Do you see it's up here at Jefferson Crossing at this point?
Yes.
What time is this?
That is 16:16, which is 4:16 p.m.
Okay, now we saw back in the earlier part of the video, the pins go down towards Mountain Spring Road. We didn't see the pins come up, or did I miss it? Are there any location data traveling from Mountain Spring Road back up to Jefferson Crossing?
There does not appear to be.
Okay, why is that?
That could be for a multitude of reasons. It could be cellular connectivity. It could have happened from, if the device goes into a low power mode, it may not have been able to generate the location data. Whatever was calling for that location data didn't call for it anymore. So there are a multitude of reasons why that could happen.
Thank you. Now, did you also look at call logs between that time period?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm gonna open file 12, called redacted call log. And okay. What is the first call between 12:22 and that 7:10 time period?
The first call in this report is at 1:19 and 23 seconds p.m.
And I'm going to draw your attention to line 9, sir. Who did that phone call go to?
This was an outgoing call to 1-305-331-5232, Michelle Troconis.
What time did that call commence?
That call commenced at 1:53 and 56 seconds PM.
Was it answered?
It indicates it was, yes.
How long was that phone call?
23 seconds.
And line 5?
Line 5 was to the same phone number and same recipient, Michelle Troconis.
At what time?
That was at 3:16 and 6 seconds PM,
For how long?
1 minute and 19 seconds.
Line 4?
That would be the same recipient, Michelle Troconis, at 3:35 and 38 seconds PM, 36 seconds in duration.
Line 3?
Line 3 was to phone number 1-860-716-7363, Pavel Gumini, at 4:49 PM, 0-second duration, and it indicates it was not answered.
Your Honor, I think I think the witness misstated, said it was to that number when in fact it's from. He's reading it.
That is correct, it's from that number.
So that would be from Pavel Guamini to Fotis Dulos' device at 4:49, and it was not answered. Is that right?
That's correct, it's an incoming phone call from Pavel Gumini that was not answered.
Oh, okay. By the way, down here under network, this unknown network, United States, does that mean anything related to the phone call?
No, nothing that was impertinent or pertinent at the time.
Okay. And last line 1. If you can.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
If you can, what was the last phone call?
The last phone call on this report was to Michelle Troconis at 5:16 and 15 seconds PM. The duration was 46 seconds, or 47 seconds.
And that was answered?
Yes,
Now, that was between 12:22 and 7:10. Did you also examine location data between 7:10 and 8:30 for 524?
yes, I believe I did.
Briefly, I'm going to open file 13, show you redacted device locations. Is this that same PDF we saw with respect to the locations for the other time periods?
Yes,
Did you take this document and place it in a video similar to what you created for the 12:22 to 5:10 time period?
that's
Or
correct.
7:10 time period?
That's correct.
I'm going to draw your attention to the screen, sir, and play video. So did you also determine any text messages, IMS, SMS messages that were made from the Photos Dulos device between 7:10 and 8:30 that night?
Yes.
Opening file 14. How many were there?
There appears to be 3.
If you can, sir, what is the latest one?
The latest is at 8:11 and 53 seconds PM.
Do we have the content of that? Or what type of call or message was that?
That was a voice call, and the source was WhatsApp.
And then line 2, briefly if you can.
Line 2 is an incoming message at 7:58 and 36 seconds PM from Stefan or Stephen Reich. Thanks for last night. It was good to see you guys.
What about this last line here? What does that mean?
It appears that there's an instant message being received from or sent from the device, but it doesn't have any data associated with it.
And what about call logs during that 7:10 to 8:30 timeframe?
Yes.
Opening file 15. How many calls were made during that time period?
On this report, 4.
And what was the earliest call?
The earliest call was at 7:47 and 27 seconds PM.
To who?
That went to Kent Mahwini and was 35 seconds in duration and has an answered indicator on it.
Now the 8:11 call, do you know who that is from?
So that is a WhatsApp call, and there is no name associated with the phone number that sent it.
And line 2, what time was the line 2 call?
The line 2 call was at 8:27 and 26 seconds PM.
And was that a to Lauren Almeida or from Lauren Almeida?
That was an outgoing call to Lauren Almeida. It appears to have been answered with a duration of 41 seconds.
And line 1, if you can.
Line 1 was an outgoing call to 203-594-3502 at 8:29 and 55 seconds PM. The duration was 10 minutes and 12 seconds, and it appears to have been answered.
Now, sir, did you also examine any communication that was done between Michelle Troconis and Photos Dulos that day?
Yes.
Now open file 16. And I'll just start with 1, 2, and 3. What kind of communication is this?
1, 2, and 3 are labeled as outgoing phone calls.
And that would be outgoing from Photos Dulos' device to the party identified on here as Michelle Troconis.
Correct.
What time was the first call?
The first call was at 1:53 and 56 seconds PM.
And the second call?
3:16 and 6 seconds PM.
And the third call?
3:35 and 38 seconds PM.
And these were all answered?
It appears so, yes. In the description, you can see the duration time listed above the source.
Well, I'm going to draw your attention to line 3, actually, at 3:35:38 PM. How long was that phone call for?
36 seconds.
And the 3:16 one, line 2, how long was that phone call?
1 minute and 19 seconds.
Now, line 4, did we see this previously on the communication with Photos Dulos? Or what does this read?
So this is an incoming instant message sent at 4:16 and 24 seconds PM from Michelle Troconis, and this appears to be a large WhatsApp group chat.
And the description?
The description says, "Now one naked." There's an emoji. It looks like a winking face with a tongue sticking out. And again, the source was WhatsApp.
And it was sent to all these people?
Correct.
And the last communication, please.
Another outgoing call to Michelle Troconis at 5:16 and 15 seconds PM with a duration of 46 seconds, or 47 seconds.
Did you also create a report detailing the communication between Fotis Dulos' device and Pavel Guomini?
Yes.
Opening file 17. File labeled redacted Fotis communication, Pavel. How many communication events were there that day?
11.
And what time do they start?
Well, before we start there, Attorney Manning, if the state intends to run through all 11, we're going to take our afternoon recess
Thank you.
and resume at 3:30. Please do not discuss the case.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Please be seated.
Court is back in session.
Can we bring the jury in?
Yes.
Yes.
Would counsel stipulate, please?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Now, Detective Clark, when we let off prior to the break, I think I asked you if we had, or you had done a, let me just see, did we view the communication that was done between Fotis Dulos and Pavel Gomini on May 24, 2019?
Yes.
And that would be file 17. And just briefly, sir, how many communication events occurred on that day?
11.
If you can, when did the time start?
So the first event was at 2:12 and 18 seconds PM.
And who was that from?
That is listed as an instant message from Pavel Gumini to Fotis Dulos.
And line 2, please.
Line 2 was at 2:12 and 18 seconds PM.
What does the description say for that text message, please?
The description for that message says Pride invoice paid.
Now, I'm going to draw your attention down here to line 4, where it says outgoing. What time was this?
This was an outgoing message at 2:13 and 3 seconds PM.
From who to who?
This message is listed as from Fotis Dulos to Pavel Gumini.
And the content of the message?
Okay, dash, when are you coming to the office, question mark.
Now, line 5, is that a repeat or duplicate?
It appears to be at the exact same time, so that appears to be a duplicate, yes.
Line 6, do we have a response to that text message?
There is an incoming message at 2:14 and 10 seconds PM from Pavel Gumini to Fotis Dulos that says end of the day.
And line 7?
Line 7 is an incoming instant message at 2:14 and 10 seconds PM from Pavel Gumini to Fotis Dulos that says 4:30.
And line 8, please.
Line 8 is an outgoing instant message at 2:24 and 39 seconds PM, and it's from Fotis Dulos to Pavel Gumini. The content was okay, dash, made progress today, question mark.
Now, 8 and 9, are those duplicates?
Yes, they appear to be there at the same time.
Line 10?
Line 10 is an incoming instant message. It is at 3:02 and 19 seconds PM from Pavel Gumini to Fotis Dulos, and the content is yes.
And line 11.
Line 11 is from the call log, so it would be a phone call incoming at 4:49 PM, and that's from Pavel Gumini. It does not appear to be answered as the duration is 0 seconds.
Thank you. Now, did you get an opportunity to examine Photos Dulos' second phone?
Yes,
Did that phone, the second phone, contain the time or data extracted from the time period of May 29th, 2019?
yes, that device did.
Did that phone on May 29th, 2019 contain location data?
Yes, it did.
If I may, it states 133.
That's the big one, right?
It's just-
What's that number? What's the last number?
Oh, yes, please, thank you. 344.
No objection.
Your Honor, line, or states 133, I would move into evidence. I don't believe that there's an objection.
States 133 admitted as full.
Sir, I'm gonna have you take a look, just briefly at the screen behind you, or in front of you.
Easier back there.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes,
What is it?
this is a location data report from an extraction of Photos Dulos' second device.
For what day?
This was on 5/29/2019,
How many location data points were collected that day?
344.
Now, what did the location data points look like with respect to the second phone?
As far as their appearance in Celebrate Physical Analyzer, UFED reader,
Yes, please.
it would be the same as the others we viewed, so there'd be a data table at the bottom with a map that has a pinned location for the specific device, or location we're looking at.
Actually, gonna draw your attention, this is many pages. Drawing your attention to, starting at page 3, line 13.
Yeah, so that's location data for 5/29/2019 at 1:43:21 PM.
Let me ask you this, sir. At line 12, what is the time for the location data?
On line 12, the time for location data is 1:22 PM.
And line 14.
2 PM and 13 seconds.
So is the time sequential?
Yes.
Over here on the far right column, the red yes, what does that mean?
The red yes would be indicated at the top in the header as data that was deleted.
Now, do you know how that data got deleted or marked as deleted?
No.
If you go through the rest of the location data is through the time period, if I may just have one moment, from 1:43:21 until line 25. Do you see that time period?
Line 95?
95, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And what is the time for that deletion?
That device time is 2:44 and 53 seconds PM for that
So-
location data.
The Cellbrite report indicates that that time period has these markers that were deleted, sir. Do you know why that is written like that?
I do not. It could be either from a system process that deleted them in an automated fashion. It also could have been through user interaction, but just based on this alone, I'm not able to
Now, there's one that is not deleted here, line 96. And then the deletions pick up again. Do you know why that is?
No, I do not.
Now, did you examine the location data for May 29th, 2019 at around the 2:40 mark?
Yes, I believe I did.
If I can. And for the record, the screen to the jury is off. And I'm going to draw your attention to the screen in front of you, sir. Do you recognize what's depicted on that screen?
I don't see anything. I think that's still on.
Oh, that one's on. If I may. It's still on. Two. If I may just have a moment. Thank you. If you can let me know when your screen appears, please.
It's showing up with no signal, and there it is. Okay.
Okay. Do you recognize what's depicted on your screen?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
It is a map that contains pins for a specific period of time on 5/29/2019.
What's that time frame?
The time frame is 2:41 p.m.
Did you create this report?
Yes, I did.
Where did you create it from?
This is from a UFED reader report.
Which UFED reader report?
From Votis Dulos' second device, which was submission 14.
Is this a screenshot of what the Cellbrite UFED reader report actually looks like on your screen?
That's correct.
And the location data points here, are those all data points that are reflected in States 133?
Yes.
Or at least a time portion of States 133?
They were generated from the same data, yes.
And this is from the actual Cellbrite? You didn't enter any manipulation or mark anything on it?
No, this is from the Cellbrite UFED reader report.
State would offer it, Your Honor. This is file 18.
I'd like to voir dire.
Yes.
This one image was taken from this document that was just introduced as exhibit, it's a big, thick exhibit, I just want to make sure. 133, is that correct?
Yes.
But you were only asked to create one map from all of the data, correct?
This is just a map for a particular set of time, yes, in one location.
But the report doesn't have maps for all of the times that are in this report, does it?
This map does not, no.
So it doesn't show where Mr. Dulos's phone traveled before or after this one bit of time, correct?
And I would object. We're going to cross-examination. This is an offer of a specific time period. Anything before and after, counsel can cross on.
I object it's incomplete and therefore misleading.
Well, the court is going to take the opportunity to indicate, even considering its previous ruling, the difference between voir dire and cross-examination. Voir dire is aimed at the integrity of the offer. Are there deletions, damage, omissions? If it's a physical item, damage, alterations, does it fairly and accurately show what this item looked like on a certain date or what the scene looked like in this photo on a certain date? Because Attorney Schoenhorn said there are omissions, the court is going to allow the voir dire because it goes to the integrity of the offer.
If I may just respond, Your Honor, briefly, just for the record, to be clear on the offer of proof, this is not a offer encapsulating the entire day. This is an offer encapsulating the time period of 2:41 on 5/29. And that is all that offer is. And that is all that image is for the offer, not the entire day.
So the court wants to understand whether Attorney Schoenhorn is claiming that even for the period of time captured in the offer, it is incomplete.
Well, if the claim was at exactly 2:41, that's the point where that's what it's showing. That I'm not claiming that. What I'm claiming is putting in one screenshot from a document that traverses certainly looks like several hours at least, is misleading and therefore incomplete because it doesn't show where Mr. Dulos's phone was coming from or where it was going to, and therefore it presents a partial picture, and I don't have the ability, the way this witness does, to actually recreate the other images. I don't have that ability to do it. That's why I'm objecting.
Well, the integrity, therefore, of the offer is not impugned because it is what it purports to be.
If I may just,
So what the court is going to do is determine that the voir dire now has crossed over into cross-examination. Do you wish to ask other voir dire questions, Attorney Schoenhorn?
No, Your Honor.
if I
so-
may just address one thing for the record, Your Honor. This is an image out of a Cellbrite report that counsel has and can create. This is not something that has been created. So the idea that he is saying on the record that he can't recreate or encapsulate any other time period is just false. So I want to make that very clear that he has the exact same capabilities that we do when it comes to screenshots of a Cellbrite report. So
Well, the court now will just indicate that if this is an offer, it's been voir dire, no further voir dire questions. What's the number of the exhibit, please?
this would be file 18 out of states 131.
Okay, File 18 out of States 131 admitted as full.
Thank you. Sir, if you could take a look at the screen behind you. If you could just explain to the jury what we're looking at here.
So this is a location map for, from the UFED Reader Program. May I get up to this?
If you can, please, thank you.
There are the timestamps you can see which are highlighted, which indicates I had clicked on them to get to this location. This location shows multiple data points with a timestamp here of 14:41, so 2:41 p.m. And that is in the area of 265 West Main Street in Avon, Connecticut.
Thank you, sir. And as you indicated, this is just from 2:41 at that date, correct?
Those, that time period is included in this, as well as some of the other time periods you can see up here, all of the other time periods you can see up there.
And I just wanted to ask you a question about down here. You see these red X's?
Yes,
What do those mean?
those indicate, this one doesn't say it in this type of report, but the X up here indicates that the data was deleted data.
And that's the same deletions. You can't say where that came from or if that was intentional or by the processing or,
That's correct.
okay. Thank you, sir. You can have a seat. With respect to that same day, 5/29, in that same phone, did you create a report with respect to call logs for that phone? Let's just leave it on 132.
I know.
Your Honor, I would move 132, and I don't believe there's any objection.
132 admitted as full.
briefly, sir, if you can, just take a look behind you. What are we looking at?
So this is a timeline report with currently call log data on it from 5/29/2019, with the first instance being at 8:08 and 20 seconds a.m.
And this is from Photos Dulos' second phone, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And there was, can you please read line 1?
Yes, the first line is the sequential numeric value, and the type of data we're dealing with is an incoming call.
And who is that from?
Michelle Troconis.
Was it answered?
It does not appear to be, as there are all zeros where the duration would be.
Now I'm going to draw your attention to line 3. Line 2 and 3, are those both calls from and to Michelle Troconis, or what is listed as Michelle Troconis on the device?
Line 2 is an incoming call from, and line 3 is an outgoing call to what's listed as Michelle Troconis.
Now we also have these markings for on the deleted column, if you will. Can you answer for how those got marked deleted?
No, I cannot.
And is that the same? Could they be both either manual or process?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to draw your attention to line 17. Actually, we have 15 and 16 who have that deleted message, and then at 17, there is no deleted message on the column.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to referring to it as a deleted message. The witness testified that it doesn't mean it was deleted. The report indicates it as deleted.
Well, the testimony so far has been that the device itself can delete. It can be through the activity of the operator of the device. You may just want to sharpen the question.
I will, Your Honor. Sir, with respect to line 17, under the deleted column, is there any marking?
No, there's not.
Now, one question with these columns that are marked as deleted, even if they are marked as deleted, does Cellbrite still able to retain or grab that data point?
Yes, it is.
Is that always the case?
No, it's not. As long as the data is still on the device, it would be able to, but there are ways that the system would completely remove the data, at which time we would not be able to recover it.
What are those ways that the system would completely remove the data?
So when data is deleted from a device, from a computer system, it's often marked as what's known as unallocated. So if you think about it as kind of a simple example, when a device saves data, it goes into a container and it kind of puts a lid on that container and says, I'm occupied, this data stays here and don't take it away, and that's a saved data. When something's marked for deletion, it opens that container and allows other data to then go into that container and save over it. But until that happens, or until a process called garbage collecting happens, which is when a device will occasionally purge some of that unallocated memory, that data still sits there. It's just not on the device that the user can see, but we are able to recover that data, and it would be marked as deleted because it is expected to be deleted, but hasn't quite left the memory of the system yet.
And again, you can't say either way or how that got marked as deleted.
For these specific things, no.
I have nothing further. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If I may just return this to you.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
So as I understand it, you were told to provide reports for very specific, narrow periods of time, correct?
I generated reports for specific periods of time throughout a specific day, yes.
And that was at the request of the state's attorney's office, correct?
That's correct.
You had more data over a longer period of time than that was provided, that you were asked to produce today, correct?
I produced the full UFED reader reports as well as PDF reports and exhibits for certain sets of data from those UFED reports.
And just for the, I'm not sure you explained, unless I missed it, but just explain what UFED means, UFED.
Yeah, so UFED, which is one of the programs I use, it's a Celebrate extraction tool, and I utilize that to conduct either an extraction or a report.
You can put in very precise dates and times to present a report, to produce a report, correct?
Yes, you are able to put in specific timeframes within the physical analyzer program, which actually generates the UFED reader report, and that those specific timeframes would only create a report within that parameter.
And they can also specify, as I think what happened here, a specific time. So if you're told, I only want May 24th from an exact time, whether it was 5:30 or 5:35, whatever, AM, you can exclude what happened prior to that, correct?
You can create a report within a specific period of time, yes.
And the map that was just shown to you from 2:41 in the afternoon of May 29th in the second report, you created that using your UFED program?
The original image, yes, is of the UFED program, and that is a screenshot of the UFED program.
But you need the actual program in order to produce that kind of an image showing an exact time, correct?
You would need to view it in UFED Reader to be able to access that image I created.
But I take it, I noticed that, and I think the screen is still on. For many of these, there are specific, what I would call latitude and longitude GPS coordinates, correct?
Yes.
So just for example, just turning to, I'm just choosing this as a random page. If you look at the screen behind you, just the bottom one here, this is number 210. The GPS coordinates are located in parentheses in each line, correct? I'll call each box, if you will, right?
Each box would have the longitude and latitude associated with the location hit.
And when it says location info, instead of it giving you an address, it's giving you the 41.757330. That's latitude.
That is the longitude.
That's longitude, and the minus 72.802782 is latitude, correct?
Yes.
And these are the globe latitude, longitude that you used to find on when people actually had globes, right?
Yes, it would. If it had it on there, it would be on there.
So it's the same as has been around for hundreds of years, right?
As far as I know, yes.
Only the program can take the latitude and longitude that you have, the UFED program, and put it into a map, correct?
As well as other programs, yes.
Were you told just to produce the one from, that showed, I don't have the screen up right now, but the one that just showed Albany Avenue and Avon?
Are you referring to the last one?
Yeah, the last screen we just looked at.
Yes. I was asked to produce that.
You could have produced any from that entire day, right?
Any that were available on there, yes.
Did you look at the others? Would you have been able to see where the phone traveled during that day for the previous hours?
I do recall that there was a large period of time in the morning with no data. I don't recall where exactly the device was before that period of time.
And after, because I'm going to ask you about that, and you could also have produced maps that showed where that phone traveled after the one we just saw, correct?
If that data was available, yes.
Now, I do want to ask you about the fact that there seems to be an absence. I'm going to show you page 1 of Exhibit 133. And let me just jump ahead for a second. If I jump to lines, for an example, lines 32 and 33, 34, there is the latitude and longitude lines available on them, correct?
Correct.
But if we go just prior to that, we'll start on page 1, we have times of 3:49 in the morning. You see that?
Yes.
Down at the bottom, we have 11:34 in the morning.
Yes.
But if we go into the description, there's no location data at all on that page, correct?
That's correct.
And we go to the next page, same thing, right? We go down this column, there's no location data, is that right?
There's no longitude and latitude associated with that location data.
And then we go to the third page, and we're up to number 12. And again, starting at 13 is the first time that we have any GPS location data, correct?
Correct.
Can you explain that?
Yes, so, it would be easier for you to flip back and forth so I could show you. Do you mind if I stand up, sir? So I can point to this.
Oh, of course. Which page would you like me to turn to?
If you have one with both on it, that would be.
Yeah, we'll go to page 3. How's that?
That's perfect. So the source for the one that has recents is pulling from the recents category. I don't know the exact reason why the device generates a recents category. I do know that the iPhone does track location and will try to come up with different categories, like a favorites category of where a device goes to a lot in order to determine, okay, this is probably where you work, so we're going to give you the traffic on your way to work today. However, this data with the GPS location has a source of coming from the native locations in the device, which are our GPS fixes.
So as I understand it, if it says recents, this was an iPhone, correct?
Yes, it was.
And you can sit down. I'm not going to ask you any more about that. You're saying if a phone was at a place where it was often regularly there, it would say recent rather than generating GPS coordinates, correct?
I'm saying it could, yes. I'm not 100% familiar with why that recents was generated. As an examiner, I would see something that says recents and say, well, this doesn't offer me any investigative information, as there's no longitude and latitude associated with it, and I would focus primarily on the ones with GPS fixes.
And if this phone actually had traveled to, let's say, Westport, Connecticut from Avon during this time, you would have no way of knowing that based on the information that's provided in this extraction report, correct? At least in this part of the extraction report that's now an exhibit, timeline. Right?
I don't understand the question, sir.
Yeah. If it only uses the term recents and there are no GPS coordinates, you're not able to say where this phone traveled during that time, correct?
I understand. It would be the same as if it had no data at all. Yes, you wouldn't be able to tell based on that.
And based on that, you would not be able to even generate one of those maps you were talking about.
Not without a longitude and latitude. I would not be able to put a pin on a map and say where the device was.
Now, you are aware that prior to the what was the time you were told to create this report?
The time frame for the report that you have in your hand?
Yes.
I believe that was the entire day of May 29th, 2019.
And when you were shown so starting in the morning, right? Early in the morning, right? If I show you page 1?
Yes, that starts at 3:49:56 a.m.
Could you indicate what was the activity at 3:49 in the morning that it was reported by the Celebrate report?
You're asking me what the first category says?
Yes.
The description is source recents.
And, but what was going on with this phone? What was it doing?
I don't know.
It's not a call.
It does not appear to be a call, no.
Is it an email?
No.
Do you know what it is? It someone searching the phone?
It appears to be a system process, and again, I don't know what it's doing.
So that was going to be my other question. There are many items in here that just that the cell phone, if it's on, just does things, right? Without anybody manipulating it, correct?
Yes, that would be a system process. It does something that doesn't require user manipulation.
So for example, if you have your phone set to, let's say, alert for thunderstorms or in your area, and it sends an alert to your phone, that's something that would be a system processing?
Well, you would need to generate the protocol that occurred that would let that happen. So a system process would be something like the device purging itself or tracking location data on its own, not something that was defined by a user necessarily.
Well, let me ask you this question. You're aware, for example, that you can have an app that will send you alerts. Let's say a commuter app at the train is delayed, right?
Yes.
That would be generated by the app automatically, correct?
Yes, apps can generate things without user interaction.
Okay. You were asked questions about the phone. I'm showing you now Exhibit 132. You were asked questions about this document. And again, I just want to emphasize that the fact that it says deleted does not mean that the operator or owner of the phone deleted anything, correct?
It would be one of two things. It would be the system deleting it or somebody else deleting it, but I can't say which.
And there's nothing that's telling you which, correct?
Correct.
And this lists the, if it says 0000, that means a call was placed, but nobody answered, correct?
Yes, the duration being 0 would indicate that it was a call that was not answered.
And for example, if a call is to a person, would it record, in this case, number 3, 28 seconds, even if it went to voicemail?
Yes.
So that doesn't even mean there's actual communication going on between the people on either end of this phone, correct?
That would be impossible to say based on this report.
Okay. The same thing with the call to Andy Bowman for 13 seconds. You don't know if that just went to voicemail, right?
I do not.
Same thing to Eugene Riccio, 28 seconds. You don't know that?
Do not.
Now, I'm going to ask you though, here's a 19-minute and 56-second call. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
What's 611? Are you familiar with that phone number?
I'm not.
Is that a repair to the either your cell provider or to the the phone provider?
Objection, Your Honor. He indicated he does not know.
No. The indication is that he does not know what 611 is.
All right.
Sustained.
And without knowing exactly what, you don't know anything about what was communicated if it's a longer period of time, like say, for example, number 10 to to Pavel Gumieni shows that the call was 6 minutes and 2 seconds, right?
Yes.
There's no way to determine from this anyway where the individuals were when they were discussing that, right?
From this specific report, no.
Okay. Now, one of the UFED printouts that you can do from a Cellbrite report is something called activity, right?
Yes, there is an activity metric.
And the activity metric actually can show not just whether you talked about the phone, whether it was vertical or horizontal, like it's portrait versus landscape. held one way or the other, correct?
That was device events, sir.
Right, but there's also, part of this same report is something called activity, right?
Yes, there is an activity report as well.
And that would include where the phone physically moved, isn't that right? From one place to another, right?
It has, the activity report, if you're referring to the steps and movement in meters, would tell you how many meters the device calculated it moved and how many steps.
And so for those of us who grew up forgetting the metric system, a meter is approximately 3 feet, right?
A little shorter, but yes.
I'm just going to mark this for identification. I'm going to show this to council. And while she's looking at that, so you had access to more than just the time frame of 5:30 onward for this device, the original device, we'll call it Dulos's first phone, correct?
Yes, I had access to more data than just the time frame you specified.
So you had actually data that would go back to at least midnight of May 24th, at 12:01 a.m. on the 24th, right?
Without seeing it, I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Right. And into May 23rd as well, the previous day?
If the data was stored on the device, it would have been available.
Objection.
Well, you need to authenticate it. Yes.
Showing you Exhibit DD. Are these 2 pages from the earlier giant report that you had from Cellbrite of that same phone?
I don't know what this is from. It doesn't have the source file on it. I'm unable to make that determination based on the way this is formatted.
When you say the way it was formatted, do you know how this was sent to council?
No, I don't. All I know is there's no source file in this, so I can't authenticate which device it came from.
Do you recall that there was data that preceded 5:30 a.m. on May 24th, 2019?
I don't recall if there was or not.
So looking at the data itself does not refresh your recollection that this is from the report from just the time before the one you generated for the state.
It is activity data for the time frame, but I can't determine whether or not it was from the device I examined or not, based on this specific report.
Well, is there going to be objection? Because then I'll have to just recall the witness when I have printed 100 pages.
Your Honor, he needs the source file to authenticate it. If he has a source file, I think that's where the witness is going. Not putting words in his mouth, but
I might have the first page, but not printed, Your Honor, so let me just... Do you have it in yours? Because I might have it in my phone. Yeah. I just... Actually, this might be easier to just bring this up than to plug it in to show you, so,
May I see it first, please?
yeah. I'm going to show you just on a laptop here. And of course, I'll just indicate there was another officer did an extraction as well, correct?
I did the extractions for these devices. I don't know whether or not they were redone or not.
Okay. But you recognize this as being the,
Can you scroll that way?
up?
No, the other way. Yes. Yes, so that's the path I was referring to.
Oh, okay, so it is the same.
That document, what you just showed me is from the original. Again,
Okay.
I don't know if that is from,
Well, if I represent it as from this lengthy document, then can you accept that, or we can go through it for those pages? But is there any objection in light of that?
Your Honor, I don't have any objection proceeding at this point, subject to counsel providing a completed copy with the source file at a later date, once he's able to print it out with that source file, including the fact that it came from, these pages came from that source file. I have no objection to continuing and letting it in based on that condition.
And I'll just note, this is a version that the state provided. The fact that there might have been a second version was not, necessarily something I anticipated as being issued.
So what's the number, please?
Is there a number?
Or a letter?
Letter.
sir, I'll let you read it.
DD.
DD admitted as full, subject to essentially an entire printout of the source file.
At least up to that page. I'm not sure if the state needs to have.
I don't need the whole, maybe just up to that page.
Thank you.
So showing you what has now been marked Exhibit DD. I'll zoom in a little. No, that's the wrong direction. And I just want to indicate, there are numbers on the left column, but the way this report was printed, it's in reverse chronology, correct?
Yes,
So that as the numbers go up, the time goes backwards, right?
yes.
So I want to call your attention, first of all, to the first column. First of all, could you just explain? And again, this is not the full report, so you're familiar with this report, though, or this kind of report, right?
Yes, sir.
So let me just make it a little bit, zoom out a little bit. Could you explain for the jury what an activity report is?
So this type of report would generally associate with the health app. It tracks different metrics. Some of those are steps and distance. And as you can see here as well, there's flights climbed, so it'll show elevation changes as well.
And since we're going in reverse order, the first one, if we're to go across, it talks about that there were flights that were climbed. It mentions 2 floors, right? And we're looking at just number 62, right?
Yes, it says that.
And is the phone sensitive enough to know altitude from one flight to the next?
It will attempt to do that, yes.
And is it based on stairs movement or actually you know, like if you're up in a plane, it's gonna say you're at 20,000 feet.
It attempts to utilize both movement and elevation.
Okay. And then the, could you explain in the next column, it says last launch. What does that mean?
Last launch, it appears to be the last time that device activity occurred, which was 5/24/2019 at 5:11:22 p.m.
Well, the reason I'm asked is it looks like there's a start time and an end time in the same box. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
So the start time for this one, number 62, is 3:36:04, and the end time is 3:36:33. So it looks like, based on this, there was 29 seconds to go up to climb 2 floors, right?
That's what the device is indicating, yes.
So can you explain why the last launch would indicate it's at 5:11 p.m. instead of the 3:36? What's the distinction there?
Without viewing the entire data set, I wouldn't be able to make that determination. I would only be able to make an assumption.
Okay, well, what does launch mean when you're doing a Cellbrite report in general? You can't necessarily indicate for this one, but what does last launch mean in your understanding of what the Cellbrite report
In
is
digital
doing?
forensics, the term launch would indicate that a program was activated.
Okay, and the time that it was activated, would that be the same or different?
It would be, well, this one indicates last launch. Again, without the full data set, I can't see whether or not the last time that program was launched was at 5:11 and 22 p.m., although it is also recording data before that as well.
Well, I noticed that there's steps listed in that second, below the second floor. It's the same time frame, almost, right? It says 3:35 and 3:39, so it encompasses what's in box 62. Now we're in box 63, correct?
It does encompass that, yes.
But I noticed the last launch is the same. So does that mean that the last time the program was used after this data was introduced, or am I just, you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. Now, in this box, it talks about, it uses the number of steps, and it lists 166 meters, right? And I don't know if I can make this a little bit clearer by the light is. Make this a little brighter, maybe. All right, I'll just move it around a little bit this way. So we have 219 steps, 166.64 meters. This data, again, the steps are based on a health app movement, correct?
Yes, the device trying to determine when steps were taken.
And the 166.64 meters is also based on GPS coordinates that people are moving in one direction or another?
I'm not certain what measures that metric. As an examiner, we would look at that and determine that that's what the device had determined, that it moved.
A person could be on a treadmill and still come up with 219 steps, right?
I believe that's possible.
And it could be move 166 meters, which is what, about 50 some odd feet, 50 some odd yards. No, about 170 yards, right, more or less, on a treadmill, correct? Could be.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance of treadmill.
Well, court is not clear as to whether this is just general education about the terms or whether this is cross-examination based on the direct.
I'm just trying to understand when the report generates these figures, they're talking about movement of some sort, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to turn now to, in reverse order, So we're going to go in reverse order and start at number 72 on this. At 1:01 and 30 seconds a.m. on May 24th, this device moved up, according to the data, a flight of stairs, correct?
I don't believe that's correct, no.
You do not believe that's correct?
No.
Could you explain then what this information means in number 72 then?
It appears as though the start time for that event was 12:03:03.
12:03 a.m. Again, the launch time you indicated meant when the last time the program was activated, right?
I stated that was an assumption, but I'm not certain what the last launch indicates. However, the start time for that event would be the time that event started.
Okay, so the next one is number 71, would be the next one chronologically, correct?
It appears to be, yes.
And that would be that at 4:13 a.m. and 40 seconds, the device moved 77 steps and 54.32 meters, right?
That's what this report is indicating, yes.
And that was at, I'm saying that would be, again, Eastern Daylight Time, correct?
Correct.
And after that, number 70, it shows that this device moved 15 steps and another 7.7 meters between 4:24 a.m. and 4:52 a.m. Do you see that?
I do.
Are you able to determine just from these statistics why it would take almost 30 minutes to move 15 steps?
No, I'm not.
And then if I go down to number 69, the report indicates that the device went 63 steps and 44 meters at 6:57 a.m. and ended at 6:57 and 36 seconds, correct?
Yes, that's what number 69 is indicating.
And the one above that shows that then the next time it moved was at 1:19:13 in the afternoon of that day, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And it shows at that point 427 steps and 266.95 meters that device traveled, correct?
Yes.
Now, are you able to indicate from there whether or not between the 7:15 time and the 1 in the afternoon time, that device did not move at all?
Are you referring to May 24th,
May
2019?
on that date, yeah. Are you able to tell that just from this data?
You would be, if there was a recorded data within that period of time, you'd be able to see it if it was there.
Would the health app have to be activated for that to happen?
Yes, there would have to be, it would have to be activated.
And can an individual turn off a health app?
You can turn off the data to the health app, yes.
If your phone goes to sleep, will the health app also shut down?
Do you mean if it's powered off?
Powered off.
Yes, it wouldn't record powered off.
Will it also, if the phone is not used and it goes to sleep mode, would it also stop recording the health app?
No, not necessarily. It would record if it was in rest mode.
I just have a couple more questions and I'll be done. When it comes to the times for when there were phone calls, were those the times for the sender or the recipient?
It would depend. That's all from Fotis Dulos' device. So the time that would be recorded would be specific to his, either when his sent that call or when his received that call.
And you also testified that GPS data would perhaps stop showing if the battery ran low. Is that correct?
Yes, it's possible.
You indicated that on direct examination, right?
Yes, it's possible.
May I just have a moment? I have no further questions.
I can
Is
just
there
have
a
one moment.
redirect?
One moment, Your Honor. Just a couple questions if I can. Now, the document council had you look at on the Elmo with the health app, that's the health app, correct, on a phone?
Yes, it's one of the applications that would use that data.
Right. And that was prior, some of those times were prior to 5:35 in the morning, correct?
There was a large span of times. I don't recall all of them.
Okay. And the time that the state asked you on direct was specific to 5:35 to 12:22 time period. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just want to clarify on states 131. Well, I would if this worked. So let me just ask you, sir. Between 5:35 in the morning and 12:22 in the afternoon, did the phone move?
I don't recall whether or not it moved.
Okay, do you recall the report generated on the activity?
Yes.
No? And in that activity log, did it move a certain amount of meters or steps?
Without seeing the report, I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Okay. Yeah. All right, well, the drive's not working, so I'll just ask you a couple more questions if I can. With the movement on the phone prior to 5:35, there was movement. After 12:22, there was movement on the phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and with respect to the user interaction data, I think that was what we talked about, the unlocking, the moving of the phone and everything. That could still happen even if the phone is in one place.
That's correct.
Okay, what about answering a phone call? That could happen if the phone is in one place.
Objection, this is just making statements, not even questions. It's leading
Well-
and it's not a question.
Well, the avenue of the cross concerned movement as captured by the health app. The redirect concerns movement, and the court is not aware that counsel is asking about movement through the health app recordings. But the issue is movement of the phone. So the court is going to allow the redirecting. so overruled.
Thank you. Sir, if I can, I'll actually ask you a more pointed question. States 131, I was able to take a look at it. I'm going to open file 10, please. Now, this is what exactly is this again?
This is much more data-filled report regarding the activity sensor data.
Does this have anything to do with the health app?
Yes, this is what the health app would use in order to gather data for these things.
And this is encapsulates just the time period from 5:35 to 12:22, right?
Well, I'm going to object. It's from 6 to 7.
Well, the witness can either agree or disagree.
Well, it's a misstatement of the
The
exhibit.
witness can either agree or disagree.
I believe this is all the data that was captured between that period of time.
For the activity sensor, for the movement.
Correct.
Okay. Now, prior to that 5:35 time period, council showed you that report. That data indicates 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I think 5:11 was one of the time periods. That's on the health app as well.
That was the activity sensor data, yes.
Okay, but this is only after 5:35.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing else.
I have no question.
Thank you, Detective. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, the court assumes that's the last witness for today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we stated this morning, there's no session tomorrow. Monday's a state holiday. So we plan to reconvene on Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. As usual, please do not discuss the case, follow no media about the case, and have a safe weekend.